You know that loud, crested bird that's always at your feeder? Yep, that's the blue jay. But you know what? It's so much more than just another backyard bird. It's an incredible survivor, a master of adaptation, and today we're going to figure out how it became one of the most successful species living right alongside us. So that's the big question, right? Why is this loud, sometimes obnoxious bird actually your most successful neighbor? Because behind that famous squawk is an amazing story of intelligence and resilience that lets them not just get by in our suburbs, but totally thrive. Okay, first things first, let's talk about something that kind of challenges what we think we see. That gorgeous, brilliant blue on a jay's feather, it's not actually blue. There's no blue pigment in there at all. It's a trick of the light, an illusion. It's all about how light scatters through these tiny, modified cells. In fact, if you find a jay feather and the light isn't hitting it just right, it just looks like a dull brown. It's the very first clue that there is way more to this bird than meets the eye.
So let's start where they do, nesting season. Now, we all know jays as being bold and noisy, but when it's time to pick a spot for a home, they become incredibly quiet, almost secretive. They're on the hunt for the perfect place to raise a family, and what they're looking for is absolutely fascinating.
The timing for all this, well, it depends on where you live. It kicks off earlier down south and gets going later up north. But here's a really cool suburban twist. Scientists have found that all the heat coming off our houses and pavement can actually give city jays a 1 or 2 week head start on their cousins out in the forest. And check this out. A really important study found something that seems, well, completely backwards. Researchers discovered that the closer a blue jay nest was to a building, the longer it was likely to survive. You'd think they'd want to get as far away from us as possible, right? So what on earth is going on here?
Which leads us straight to this question. Does our presence actually act as some kind of shield for them? The thinking is that all our activity, our cars, our dogs, us mowing the lawn, it might actually scare away some of their biggest natural predators, like raccoons and crows. It turns our backyards into these weirdly safe neighborhoods for them.
All right, so once they've picked out that prime piece of real estate, the jays switch hats and become master architects. It's an amazing cooperative effort. And get this, they can build their entire home from scratch in just about 7 to 10 days. And their method is so systematic. First, they start snapping twigs right off living trees to build this big, bulky outer cup. Then they start weaving in tougher stuff like bark and rootlets for the inside. And for the final touch, a soft, comfy lining to make it the perfect nursery. This is a total team effort. The male often brings the materials, and the female does most of the really detailed construction. And this is where their adaptability just goes off the charts. Living in our neighborhoods, they become these incredibly resourceful scavengers. Researchers have found all kinds of human junk woven into their nests. You've got string, plastic, little bits of cloth. If it works, they'll use it. So, the nest is built, and now the most vulnerable time begins. All that noise and bravado just disappears, and it's replaced by this quiet dedication for the next 16 to 18 days while the eggs incubate. During this period, the parental roles are just crystal clear. The female handles almost all the incubating, and she almost never leaves the nest. So the male becomes the sole provider and the guardian. He brings her all her food, and he stands watch. He even has these special calls he uses to let her know when the coast is clear for her to take a quick break. It's a perfect partnership. Okay, once those eggs finally hatch, the nest completely transforms. It becomes this high-stakes, fledgling academy, and the goal is simple. Get those chicks from tiny, helpless hatchlings to independent graduates as fast as humanly, or birdly, possible. And it is a flat-out race against time. In just 3 short weeks, these little chicks go from being blind and naked to fully feathered and ready to leap out of the nest. To power all that growth, the parents are on a nonstop mission to find high-protein food. We're talking tons of insects and caterpillars, which, by the way, makes them fantastic pest control for your garden. Now, listen up, because this part is so important for all of us. When you see a young jay on the ground and it looks kind of clumsy, like it can't fly very well, it is almost certainly not abandoned. This is a super critical learning phase. The parents are always nearby, watching and teaching their kids for up to 2 months how to find food, how to spot danger, and basically how to be a blue jay. But even with all this intelligence and all this amazing parental dedication, survival is never a guarantee. The suburbs are like a gauntlet of threats, and honestly, the odds can be pretty brutal. This number really puts it all into perspective. One of the biggest studies found that only about 52% of nests successfully raise even one young bird. That means for every successful nest you see, another one fails completely. It's basically a coin flip.
So what's the problem? This chart makes it painfully obvious. One thing: predation. It's responsible for a whopping 90% of all nest failures. Things like bad weather are just a tiny little slice of the pie.
And here they are, the usual suspects. This is the danger that's lurking right in our own backyards. Raccoons, crows, squirrels, and a huge one, domestic cats, are major threats to the eggs and the little ones in the nest. And for the fledglings that have just left, the danger often comes from above, from birds like Cooper's hawks. Knowing about all these threats brings us to the most important question. What can we do about it? And the good news is, a few simple, thoughtful things on our part can make a huge, huge difference for their survival. The playbook for making your yard jay-friendly is actually pretty simple. Keeping cats indoors, especially during nesting season from April to July, is probably the single best thing you can do. Avoiding pesticides means there's a healthy food supply for the chicks. Holding off on pruning your trees means you won't accidentally destroy a hidden nest. And even something as simple as a bird bath provides a critical source of clean water. And maybe the most important thing to remember is that blue jays and their active nests are legally protected. So really, the best way to be a good neighbor is just to give them their space. Grab some binoculars, watch from a window, and just enjoy the amazing show as they raise their family without the extra stress of us getting too close. Which kind of brings us to our final thought. The blue jay is, without a doubt, a success story. It's proof that wildlife can and does adapt to our world. And their story really challenges us to think differently, to ask how we can consciously design our neighborhoods to be safe havens, not just for us, but for all the remarkable creatures who call our backyards home too.